welcome back to Two Fat Gingers Ride Again. Now, if you're in the UK, or more specifically, if you're in Scotland, you'll know that the SNP has been going through some challenging times. They had huge stability of structure, and then First Minister Nicola Sturgeon stood down. There was a toxic and damaging leadership race. There's loss of support through the Gender Reform Bill. There's the Calmac Ferries controversy, and more recently, the former SNP chairman has been arrested and since released without charge, pending further investigation. But all this points to a torrid time for the SNP for the first time in probably 15, 16, 17 years. So, Ginger Chris, my question to you is, what is with Vince McMahon's mustache?
Who can say? Who can say? I don't know what's going on there.
It's for those who haven't seen it, it's a pencil mustache, but he's also dyed his hair really black as well. Yep. I mean, he looks like if the US were to make a really bad version of James Bond, he looks like he'd be the villain. It's awful.
I don't have words for it.
No, neither do I. It is. It seems insane that a 77, 78-year-old man has made the decision to dye his hair jet black and get a pencil mustache.
Yeah.
Especially one who's had certain accusations against him, because he's just now played perfectly into the stereotype of what somebody who would do such things would look like.
I watched an interview with him and his counterpart at no, not his counterpart. His boss, maybe.
His boss at Endeavour,
boss, yeah.
Harry.
Endeavour, yeah. Mm-hmm, yeah. Watched the two of them sitting having an interview on somewhere, and it was odd. He was. I don't know what was going on. He was sitting in a kind of an odd manner. His hands were like painfully clasped together for most of it. Like his knuckles were white with clasping. So I don't know what was going on there. It was just peculiar business. But
by all accounts, what's been going on is peculiar because apparently he's taken back over the creative process, or did on Monday Night Raw, causing bloody chaos. And if you're to believe the rumors, a lot of disgruntlement from the staff and wrestlers from Monday night. So we'll see if that continues. But it all seems a very odd situation, considering the dark cloud that he left last year. And maybe it's an ego thing, because arguably the product improved, arguably interest in the product improved. And then all of a sudden he swoops back in and does a grand coup.
I don't know. I mean, we've touched on this briefly offline. I don't know that he saw himself as leaving under a cloud last year. I believe that he made that as a business decision, and it was just simply to ease friction. I don't think he. I don't. True or not, allegations or not, I'm making no comment on that, but I don't think if they were true, he believes he's done anything particularly wrong. I think he is quite happy to be where he is, and he just didn't want his company doing badly as a result of it, so moved out of the way, and then moves back into the way when he wants to. I don't think we can understand his thinking. I think he is just crazy.
$17.6 million in hush payments were made to however many people that counts. I don't think they've quite released all of that, but £17.6 million of hush money. I mean, that's a lot of money.
But remember, the only reason that anything happened about that was because it was company money.
Some of it, yes.
The pain of and that's the only quote unquote wrongdoing. Like the none of the rest of it was. I would even think of bat an eyelid.
when we say wrongdoing, we obviously mean from probably a more legal standpoint rather than an ethical standpoint.
That's why I did the quote unquote.
Yes, but
Yeah,
I can't see your fingers. So it's not. You
No,
can't see your fingers doing the quotes.
But did I not say quote unquote wrongdoing?
Quite probably, but I'm a visual learner.
Okay.
You know this, don't
But
you? I'm
yeah,
a visual learner.
it's that thing. It's basically the shareholders, or as I see it playing, the shareholders got pissed because he spent company money on that and didn't like it, were getting angry, and he was like, all right, fair enough, I don't need to be here. So easier, quieter life for me if you're not annoyed at me. So I'll move out of the road. There's even I read some speculation over the last few days that he is possibly trying to get himself fired because it's entirely plausible that he has a clause that they have to pay him off if they fire him. So he's maybe trying to do that.
That explains the mustache.
Maybe, but who would know? Who would know?
Yeah. It shows that there's a different world for the mega rich, because we've never seen anything in history to suggest that multimillionaires and billionaires live by different rules from the rest of us. This is probably the first indication I've seen of that, and as a capitalist, I obviously find that quite disappointing. Capitalism has been around for many, many years, so it's taken hundreds of years for somebody to abuse capitalism. But nonetheless, unlike the constant, significant abuses of socialism, which we see every day, even though it's 1 in 200 years of abuse of capitalism, it's still disappointing to me. I hold us to a higher standard than I do you poor, hippie, unwashed masses.
I don't think he's talking to me there, just FYI, listener.
Did you wash?
Yeah.
You're a socialist.
I'm quite clean. No, not really.
I think you are. Did I not see you burning your bra for a vote or something?
No, you saw me burning someone else's bra. But no, it's entirely consensually. I'm just saying.
Yes. She was like, I'm done with this one. Do
bras to burn.
Yeah, you buy them from women off the internet.
We all do that
with free boob sweat. Boob sweat. So that now this is going to be a real rambling
boob sweat. Name of your college band.
Yeah. Well, I actually on the music. Well, I use music loosely. Actually, I don't use music loosely. I love Britney Spears. I gotta say that I love Britney Spears music. Hit Me One More Time. Yeah, I don't care. I love it. Right. But she seems to go crazy on social media. And there was a video of her that stopped at somewhere graffiti. She's wearing a dress. I'm not very good with colors, but it was a darkish color. And she had massive patches of boob sweat, like massive patches of boob sweat. But she'd just seen this and she just decided to run off and dance in front of this mural and post it on social media. That woman is crazy. She seems to really be struggling since she got freed from the dark control of whoever was controlling her. Court case. You probably didn't follow any of that because I know you're not a celeb gossip aficionado like I am.
Not really. There's some bits you can't miss. I mean, there's always like little bits that bubble up. But even Radio 4's news will occasionally mention her.
Yes, but it's amazing because a lot of the comments that you see against these videos are, this isn't Britney Spears. They've obviously replaced her. And then I kind of found out there's this whole subculture of celebrity replacements. So apparently Avril Lavigne has been replaced over the years as well. Did you hear this?
With what?
With somebody else who's pretending to be her in the world.
Right.
And Britney Spears has now been replaced by somebody else who's pretending to be her. And they use evidence such as look at her teeth and then look at her teeth 20 years ago, look at the difference. And it's like, that's probably meth or something. Humor, by the way, not slander. But yeah, it's insane. And look, this mole's moved and all that kind of stuff. It's just this, you think of all these conspiracy theories of, mole men controlling us or the Twin Towers or the moon landing, but there's even flat Earth. But there's even this whole subculture of conspiracy theories about celebrities being replaced by doppelgangers. I find it quite insane.
Oh dear, oh dear. Honestly, sometimes I wish I hadn't invented the internet.
Yes. Well, that was one of my questions to you was going to be: Are you the real Ginger Chris?
Am I the real Ginger Chris?
Have you been replaced by a doppelganger look and sound alike?
I can't now not think of trying to work in a sort of a Slim Shady. Will the real Ginger Chris please stand up? One of the fingers in each hand up and be proud to me out of your mind, out of control, and something. So yeah, yes, I'm Ginger Chris, the real Ginger Chris. All you other Ginger Chris's are just imitating. So yeah, that's all I have to say about that.
I will say, don't stand up too fast in case you hurt your back.
Don't stand up too fast in case you hurt your back.
Oh, we're getting old. We're not young anymore, Chris.
Was there a thing there that was? I mean, that was an Eminem reference from like the early noughties. That was.
I know, but I don't want you to spring up out of your chair to prove you're the real Ginger Chris. To hear that crack, and then your scream, and then not be able to keep doing the podcast.
Would it be evidence enough though that I was the real Ginger Chris if I jumped out of my chair, cracked my back, and screamed in pain? Would that be enough?
There is,
or is it just like they've just replaced me with another old fat man?
There is the devilish side of me that says, "Let's find out."
Well, there's the lazy side of me that says, "No, let's not."
Yes, yes,
and indeed the side of me that doesn't actually particularly want to do my back in. And one time is enough for that. Thank you very much.
Yes, backs are horrible things from that perspective.
Sure
I really don't like backs at all. I've got to say.
Where are we going with this?
Sorry,
Please say that very carefully.
Where we go? I was actually sorry. I was looking at my avatar and thinking, I've got nice smooth skin. It's like when I was 13. This is what I looked like when I was 13.
I don't know. I think mine makes me look more like when I was 3 than 13. But there we are.
Yes, baby Chris. Maybe it's not Ginger Chris now. Maybe it's just baby Chris. Baby Chris. Baby Chris.
Copyright strike.
Oh yeah, probably. Well, I don't think we actually nailed the tune at all, so I wouldn't worry about it too much.
Probably. Do you know we got one of those?
What, a tune?
One of our YouTube
copyright strike,
videos.
Yes.
Yeah, one of our YouTube videos got a copyright strike against them.
That's because we were watching WrestleMania and some of the audio must have come through.
Yeah, but I didn't. I mean, that happens in lots and lots of other places.
Oh, I know, but
it's. I mean, I don't know about you, but I watch our videos. I didn't pick up on any coming through particularly.
Well, what it is when you've got a broad, deep, and extensive audience like we do, we have so much influence that they feel that they don't want us profiteering off of these things.
Do you think they fear us? They fear the drain on their profits.
Absolutely, I think that's why Vince sold to Endeavor.
Yeah, that's what it is. We made him do that, right?
We made him do that, definitely. Definitely made him do that.
Oh dear.
But yes,
I was a little surprised when I heard that it actually happened.
Yes,
I've gotten into a stage now where I just automatically don't believe anything I hear on the internet. I just treat it all as nonsense.
Well, it mostly is nonsense, isn't it?
Look at that. It seems to be. It seems to be.
Oh yeah, I mean, when the sale went through WWE, it was like, it's got to be a joke, right? The people that own UFC.
Yeah.
But apparently,
is this the 1st of April? No, it's not.
Yeah, no, it's not. No, it's not. Oh, just I mean, let's just continue the ramble here. I tried watching that film you were speaking about in Shudder, Mad God. It's called.
Yeah, Mad God. That's the one. What do you make of that?
I think I've got about halfway through. It's. I'm going to use the word
something, isn't it?
Interesting.
I mean, certainly is, isn't it?
Artistically, it's a hell of an achievement. Apparently, it took like 15 or 20 years or something to do.
Yeah.
And it's a mix of stop motion, CGI, and other types
of
yeah. But that's the thing, what hooks your interest in the first, and you described it. I can't remember how you described it exactly, but it's grimy, I think is the word I was striving for. It's grimy.
Yeah.
But yes, there's big giant people shitting, and they're collecting up the shit. And
Mm-hmm.
yes,
It's
once you get
weird.
past that, there's nothing. It feels like there's not much there's not much
No,
substance beyond that.
no.
The shock value.
It was I couldn't entirely work out what was going. I mean, there's a narrative of sorts, but it is very much of sorts. I wouldn't really imagine it's going to get many acting accolades, though there are people in it, like
Yeah.
genuine actual people on camera occasionally. But yeah, it was an odd one,
Can you
but it
still see
fairly
my
sticks
mouth
in the
move?
mind.
Can you still see my mouth move when I speak?
Yeah, sometimes it
Because
stops.
it just randomly stops when I'm speaking.
Yeah, so does mine.
Yeah, because I've discovered if I lift my hand up above my mouth in front of my mouth when I speak, it will actually stop the mouth because it's not
Yeah,
picking up through the sound; it's picking up through the camera,
yeah,
which is nice. Wow,
yes.
this really is a random. I mean, I know we're random anyway, but and this is my
Oh,
fault.
all over the place.
I'm supposed to be
Good.
the
So
organized one. I'm supposed to be the structured one, and at the moment, I feel like a ping pong in an Amsterdam show. I'm everywhere and
okay.
nowhere I should be.
I don't know that we can make that judgment, can we?
Have you ever been to one of those Amsterdam shows?
Yes, I
Have
have.
you? Oh God, I
And
haven't.
what did have you
Because
really
my
not?
wife,
All
no,
right.
because my wife listens to this.
All right, okay. It's yeah, I mean, I don't think that's a particularly savory place to keep a banana either, but I mean, I'm not going to judge. I'm
Uh,
certainly not going to say it's the right or wrong place to keep a banana. I think
uh,
that's entirely up to the individuals involved.
a banana.
Yes.
Oakley dokley.
The,
That's
the, the people in the front row of the show, at least one person for the front row of the show was offered a bite of said banana while the banana was being held by the lady in question.
so.
She was not using her hands.
It's not only not a savory place to keep a banana, but it's not a savory place to eat a banana from. I would say.
I mean, it was, it had skin on and then
The
was peeled
banana.
after. Yes.
I'm just
And
checking.
yeah, it's, I mean, it was a thing. I mean, I suppose at some level, I'm glad I've seen it. I don't feel an urge to go back and see it again, but
At,
yeah, I'm sure
at,
it was
at what level are you
good that.
glad you saw it? Curiosity, morbid curiosity.
I
I'm
think there's
hoping.
probably something like that. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Like, well, it's a tick in a box that I didn't know that on a list I didn't know I had. It's one of those things. Oh well, that's done then. Sure, one fine.
So kind of like looking at a car crash as you pass it. It's morbid curiosity. You've seen it, but you probably wouldn't look again.
So I don't know. I think the problem with the car crash is I think it's hard not to.
No, maybe it's the same with the banana.
Yeah, I mean, you've literally paid to go in. Like to not watch it would almost be foolish at that stage. And the beer was humongously expensive. Lord knows what it must cost nowadays.
Mm.
But yeah, you
Wow.
got a tiny little bit of beer and it cost you all the money in the world. Meanwhile, this lady and this gentleman were doing things to one another and stuff to various things.
Like playing ping pong by the sounds of it.
The thing that I remember coming away, like I said, I came away with two impressions from that. The one time I saw this, and it was like that doesn't seem like a very savoury place to keep or indeed eat a banana from. And also, how did she store so much stuff up there? Because I didn't see her putting any of that stuff in, but she took an awful lot out.
It's the TARDIS.
To be clear, the banana was not kept up there.
Okay.
But there was, I mean, there must have been about 6 feet of beads. Like how? Where? I mean, just
I would have been
yeah.
more impressed had they pulled out a whole string of handkerchiefs.
It was along those lines. I mean, I imagine beads would be slightly less EU inducing than handkerchiefs. Handkerchief being, a more absorby type thing.
Oh God, this is
You know what I
grim.
mean? Yeah, right, right. Yeah, guys, this is guys and girls. True. This is the best this is the highest bar we've ever set. Wow.
So this bar
Yeah.
so low you wouldn't be able to slip paper under it.
Yes. But like I say, it's one of those things you're like, well, I've done that. I've done the Amsterdam sex show. Okay, good. No, and I said done. I did to be clear.
You didn't.
Saw.
You didn't take part.
No. I did not, and I would have refused banana had it been offered. Just for the record.
Well, that's because we don't really like fruit that much, do we?
Well, it would have ruined the beer.
Well, you've drank banana beer before. I know you have.
Yeah, but that's a different thing. Like
Because
having banana and beer
Brewdog
at the
did
same
it.
time, very different.
If it was a Brewdog vagina, you probably would have had it.
No, I'm not that big a fan of brewdog beer.
I
It's
know.
all right, but I haven't had a beer. I was going to say this year. Is that true? Might be true, Might be true.
I haven't had a beer for 18 months,
Okay.
roughly.
Any other alcohol in that time?
No, I haven't had
Any
alcohol in 18 months.
any reason for not having alcohol in 18 months?
Yes. Now, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, look after your health. Okay, it is
Oh,
important, especially as you get older. And if you're a more rotund person, like a fat ginger would be, so this podcast title isn't just humorous. It's not just two fat gingers.
arguably this podcast title isn't humorous. Not a question of just. However, moving on.
Nitpicking, I think.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
But if you're a larger person and you're approaching your 40s or you get into your 40s, then the body
Yeah.
reacts in a certain way. And one of those ways is called diabetes. Now, diabetes, for those of you who don't know, means you're fucked for eating sugar, which is why you got fat in the first place. So, that addiction is difficult to kick. Look it up. Apparently, it's second only to heroin or something like that. And I'm definitely not stopping the heroin. But
where would you get your happy? You can't give up
exactly. Where
everything,
would I
can
get
you?
my high if I've got to give up sugar
Mhm.
and heroin? But yes, when you drink alcohol, obviously one of the things that your body does is it turns that alcohol into sugars, which then gives you the most horrendous hangovers you can ever imagine. I mean, like 3 beers will give you a 2 bottle of whiskey hangover. So, long story short, because I've told you the long story, so I'll shorten it now. Because I'm diabetic and I get really bad hangovers, I do not drink alcohol at the moment.
Ooh,
And I don't miss it, apart from once. Once there was something on TV and the beer was put down and it had the water, the condensation running on the outside of the
it's always the
glass.
condensation, isn't it?
It's
Always the
always the
condensation outside.
condensation.
Yeah.
And the drink was taken, and I was like, I could do with a beer, but that's once in 18 months.
Yeah.
And my brother
It's
just bought me a bottle of whiskey.
oh, that's nice of him.
It
The
was very nice of him.
less sugar in a bottle of whiskey though, right?
Yeah, if you're diabetic, the spirits are better. Not better, but the spirits tend to not be as carb heavy as the beers as well. So,
Yeah. Seems to be
it's the better thing to drink.
seems to be the accepted truth for dieting as well. Just a generally less calorific impact to spirits.
Yeah, and arguably, I could probably get away with having a whiskey every now and again. And I probably will, because I've got probably about
You've got a bottle of
7
whiskey.
or 8. Well, I've got 7 or 8 unopened,
Oh.
good quality whiskies in the house.
Oh my!
So
Be ashamed to put them to waste.
they won't go to waste.
No.
It's all about timing. It's all
Yes.
about timing. So yes. So
Yes.
so this has been a lovely ramble, Chris. This has been a
So,
lovely
hasn't it
ramble.
just?
I hope the listeners have enjoyed it as much as I have, because
Mhm.
I do enjoy a good ramble. But next week's is going to be less rambly, because we're going to talk about 3 movies that I have watched in the last 3 days. And if you want to know
Something
what
that
those movies are,
I
join us next week.
yes, something that occurs to me. I'm going to struggle to find a thumbnail for this episode, aren't I?
I think you just go with the banana and just leave it with the banana.
Maybe, yeah. Oh, anyway,
That's
anyway,
my advice.
You and then banana and some beads and beer. Yeah,
But a banana, a ping pong, and a bottle of beer
yeah.
with condensation on the outside.
Good lord, that's
That would be intriguing. I mean, that's clickbait right there.
demonetizing clickbait, though. Eh?
Well, not at all.
Anyway.
Have you seen some of the stuff that gets monetized on this YouTube things and
Yeah.
everything?
Yeah.
I mean, once we hit 464 million views of this podcast, this week's podcast, we should make about 30 or 40 pence.
Be nice, that.
It would
We
be
ever
lovely.
made any money off these?
No, but I did check our listening records for the last podcast, and we probably run up about 50 or 60 listeners last week, or 2 weeks ago, I should say. We're now going to do this weekly.
Yeah.
But we're going to release a podcast weekly. But it was 2 weeks ago that our reboot happened. And yes, I would say I haven't collated all of the statistics and figures in my statistically mentored mind. That's easy for me to say. But I did a rough count, and yes, it's probably about that. Although, as I say, people don't tend to listen for the whole hour. They tend to switch off after 14 or 15 seconds. So just as the music comes down and our voices start, people just fuck off. No, it's better than that, but arguably people don't stay for the whole hour,
No.
which is fine, because honestly, I can't listen to myself for an hour.
Oh, I can. I mean, I often do.
But
especially in the days when I work from home.
You sound like melting butter on a crumpet.
Well, what can I say?
And I sound like a burst pile in an anus.
I don't know what that would sound like.
Yes, you do. You're listening to me right now.
I would be surprised if this is what it sounds like, but whatever.
It hurts. It's messy. You don't want to admit to your friends that it's happened.
But I wouldn't have thought it had a speaking voice. Wouldn't have imagined the speaking voice had been in there.
But I've obviously got mutated piles then.
Yeah, perhaps. Or maybe
join us next week for more motivating talk.
We're just adding to this thumbnail, aren't we? Wow. Yes, let's get this train wreck off, whatever you do with train wrecks to make them go away.
Join us next week for a discussion on 3 films that even my podcast partner here, this fella right here,
these hands and arms. I waved.
Oh yeah, so and I pointed at you. Maybe the next iteration will have little pointy things.
Perhaps.
Maybe when we earn that 30 or 40 pence off of YouTube, we can invest in an actual animator.
Yes. Yeah, that'd be nice.
They can't charge much, can they? Really? 10 a penny these days.
Yeah, sure.
But yes, join us next week. We won't be discussing wrestling per se. We will be discussing movies. 3 movies in particular, or we will start there. Then we will ramble off topic. We'll hear the story about the time that somebody stuck a cucumber up their ass or something like that. Who knows? But that's the fun, isn't it?
One time at band camp.
I stuck a no, yeah. Good luck and good night, everybody.
Good night and good luck. Be safe, and it's nice to people. Bye.
Bye.